There. That should be good now, I think. Okay, the usual pre-show audio issues. No big deal. So we're going to try one more different stream today. We're doing a Friday instead of Saturday or Thursday, just to get some more data, see when people are watching. Okay. Hello, Min. Welcome back. We're doing some more Leica R's from Mr. Mark Magnarella. I went into detail a little bit last mod stream. Yeah, no, 2 mod streams ago. Mark Magnarella is one of the go-to resources for Leica R lenses in the industry. He hunts them down. I don't know where he finds all of them, but his stuff is top-notch. He's a great reseller, very trustworthy. So, I have not seen these yet. This looks like it's in very good condition. No brassing. No touch-ups on the anodizing. Got a couple little minor dings and dents. Everything feels good. Actually, the focus feels really good. A little loose. Oh, cool. Who is that? You, Frank? Is Frank running Duclos lenses? Hey, Lucas. Good to see you again. Looks like we have the man in the chair today. I assume it's either Frank or it's Brianna. Yep, it's Frank. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's gonna run the chat, so if you have questions, he can reply, and he'll help me pin stuff and pin answers and links and whatnot. So yeah, this looks like it's in great shape. There's a tiny little defect. I don't know, not defect. Smudge right there at the edge. You can see in the reflection. That'll clean off instantly, so no big deal. But yeah, let's dive in since I don't have a ton of time today. I'm trying to stick to about an hour. So if you have questions throughout, drop them in the chat. Oh, this is an interesting topic. So these baffles, well, I'll wait until I pull it out, but I'll show you when I pull it out. They're very flimsy, and they break a lot. They get brittle over time, and people do mods and don't necessarily treat them carefully. So we've started designing and printing replacement baffles. And it's not just a light baffle, it also controls the aperture. It limits the aperture. So those will be useful for Cine-Mod stuff and still enthusiasts alike. You know, people that just want to have a good condition like R. So yeah, that's the baffle. it's just a piece of plastic. It's super flimsy. It's very thin. And they get brittle over time, especially if someone over torques these screws when they're putting it back together. That's such a small, let's see, that space right there. Let's get some background. There you go. It ends up breaking because it's so thin, and you put pressure on it, it just snaps. So we're gonna start offering replacement baffles. Just got Duclos focus chart, a spherical V4. Nice. That was a long project. We had done our original, and then we had updated the original. Then we did the V3, which was a collaboration with Old Fast Glass. And from there, we knew we wanted to make some minor changes. We had been getting feedback from customers and rental houses. And I had been working on the V4 for probably over a year. And we finally launched it about a month ago, I think. And I'm very happy with it. In fact, I printed one on an adhesive paper, and it's my Zoom background at in my office. So anytime I'm on a Zoom call, it's just a giant focus chart. May I have some tips mounting it? Still in the box. Mounting it, I always recommend avoiding foam board. Everybody wants to mount it to foam board because it's cheap and it's light. I would recommend either plywood or plexiglass, and using like a spray adhesive like Super 77. If it's in your budget, I'd recommend bringing it to a framing store and letting them do it. They have, if it's a good framing store, they have specialty tools that'll suck the air out so you have no bubbles between the chart and the backing. You guys can hear the machines running back there because it is a normal work day here. So all the techs are going busy bees. All right, so this all looks good still. I do see some signs of service. This little X here, let's see if that focuses. There's a little X that's been etched or scribed into the brass. That's not uncommon. It's just a mark that a technician would use. This iris actually feels really good. Yeah, we're just going to tidy this all up, get it back together so it's nice and fluid. To follow up, I don't know your name. Your username is Mock Filmmaker or MOC Filmmaker, but to elaborate there, a lot of people ask about Gatorboard. In fact, I was just talking with someone via email about Gatorboard for their focus chart. Gatorboard's okay. It's definitely better than regular foam board, but even Gatorboard will warp over time, or it'll bend or curve over time. For anybody that's in the LA area, the Cine swap is coming up in a week, I think. Yeah, next weekend. You should definitely plan on attending that. We're going to have some, I wouldn't even say bargains, I would say steals on lenses, accessories, stuff that we just want to get rid of. It's been sitting on shelves and whatnot. So you should sign up for that. I'm sure, because I have the guy in the chair now, Frank could probably drop a link in the chat to where, I don't think there's any registration or anything, but at the very least, it could be a link to the details. Over here, all the framing shops will swear the foam board will not warp. Yeah, they're wrong. Ask them to see their foam board collection, you know, the actual material they're going to use, and then put it on the table, and I guarantee it'll be warped. Not cine related, but do you own any medium format film camera? I do. My go-to is a Mamiya, sorry, not a Mamiya, Yashica twin lens, TL LM. It has the built-in light meter. I think that's what it is, Yashica Matte LM. Cine swap, there we go. I'm curious, where does that go? Oh, they do have an Eventbrite. Okay, cool. Fish cam is really boring today. That's disappointing. I don't see a single fish. Bummer. I know they're there. Oh, we could just change that to a, oh no, that won't work. I don't think I can see the other cameras on the, like through a live stream. The ones that point like, the ones that would show like the sky or, you know, the weather. I'll have to try that. Maybe I'll try that tomorrow. Actually, I don't know if I'll do a mod stream tomorrow because I'm doing one today. But we'll see. I think it'll depend on whether or not I get the Mamiya. What did I order? Oh, I ordered the soft focus lens. So questions on Instagram, it's all the YouTube people. Come on, IG. What's the goal of today's mod? The goal of today's mod is to make this lens beautiful. This lens is getting the full mod, so front ring, focus gear, declick, and a EF mount conversion. Pretty standard. Same mod that I've done thousands of times. Any future for Cine-Modding the new L-mount Sumuluxes / Crons would probably need a full rehouse to get manual light. Yeah, exactly. We generally don't actively offer Cine-Mod for any automatic lens. Just doesn't work well. They're not great for cinema. Usually the focus is loose and not super accurate. The aperture, like you said, is usually automatic only, and at that point it's not usually worth it. As a lens technician, have you ever watched a movie then be like, this scene is definitely shot with this? Oh yeah. I mean, not like a specific model, but you can usually tell, you know, was it a modern crisp clean lens, was it a vintage lens? If it's something really unique, like actually, if it's like a specialty lens, yeah, I can maybe pinpoint something, but I don't know that I've ever been able to tell like down to the specific model. But for example, you know, if you see a shot where you know, like a commercial and it starts inside a cereal box and it pulls back, you can pretty much tell like, oh, that's a Laowa probe, or at least a similar probe. I'm just putting in the one screw just to hold this in place while I put the baffle back in. Has anyone ever submitted Tokyo Kokak top cars? Never even heard of that. A top car. Have you serviced the Astory? No, I don't think I will because it's so cheap. I'm not sure what we could do. You know what? I need to move my chats here. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of an example of what an Astory would need that we would be able to accommodate just because it's so cheap. You know, if someone just needs a simple flange adjustment, that's like half the value of the entire lens already. So I'm going to ignore all of those calls. I apologize if you're a customer that's trying to call me. This is my therapy. I'm sure that so I know that I have two lenses here, a 35 and a 50. And I know there's more in the set. I'm pretty sure these will end up on Mark Magnarella's website, which is, I think it's opticalbrilliance.com. And I'm sure they'll be on there for sale. It's a Summicron set. See, this is the part I was saying. This requires some finesse. It's so easy to over tighten these and just mash that plastic. So that feels great. It looks great. The limit is perfect. The blades are completely hidden when it's wide open. They have full travel. That's the purpose of that baffle. It's not just to keep light out, it's also to limit this aperture linkage, which controls the aperture. A lot of people almost always ask about removing this. Yeah, let me give you a better view. This tab right here, and a lot of people ask why it's even there. They assume it's some sort of linkage between the lens and the camera, and it's not. The only purpose of this tab, let me show you, is that if you put the lens down on a surface, this isn't a great example. Actually, here, I'll use the case for my screwdriver. If you're putting your lens down on the back without the cap, the glass would protrude and you'd end up scratching the glass. But because of this tab, here, let's do this so you can see it. I need a light background. It has just enough space so that the glass doesn't touch. You see that? You can see through it. It's just enough to protect that rear element. If that tab wasn't there, you'd be putting this down on the glass. So that can definitely be removed, but when we do that, we make sure people know, be careful. What can you tell me about the Mamiya 645-500 f5.6? It seems to be the only option for cost-effective PL super long lens. No, not at all. Oh, there's a fish on the fish cam. That's the main guy in the tank. That's the convict fish that has destroyed all the other fish. Back to your question, who asked that? Downpour. The go-to in the cinema industry for decades has been the Nikkor. It's the 200, 300, 400, 600, 800, whatever. those had all been repurposed and remounted to PL, either by the rental houses or by like Century Optics. Those were and still are the go-to for super telephotos. The only alternative that was popular was the Leica. It's still part of the Leica R system. It's the Apotelit. I'm forgetting the name now, but it's a modular system. It has 2 front portions and 3 rear portions, and you can interchange them to achieve different focal lengths. And that had been converted to PL. I forget who did that originally. I don't think it was us. No, you know what? Maybe we did do some. But that was pretty popular. Back when I worked at a rental house, that was always part of a package for like car commercials or really long stuff. Thought you might use something like the thread locker fluid. We usually do use thread locker on the mount screws, which I'm about to get to. I wouldn't use that on these plastic ones because it would just seep into the plastic and it would stain the plastic. Is there a way to tell if fungus etching is prominent or faint? Or is the only way to tell by removing the optics? I think you mean permanent, maybe not prominent. But yes, the only way to tell is to remove the elements and try to clean them. If it cleans off, it cleans off. If it's into the subsurface, it's etched, it's permanent. Oh, you're talking about the thread locker for the Astory. Okay. I thought you were asking about this. MEK WD-40, yeah. Yeah, it's not worth it. That's what I'm saying, Lucas. At a certain point, you gotta cut your losses on those. That's why I don't think anyone's ever sent one to us, because at a certain point, those lenses are practically disposable. I have blisters on my hand. That means you're using too much heat. Or you're just cranking on it, I don't know. Those probes are not, the Laowa ones are decent. The knockoff ones that I've seen, they're not built the same. They're scary to work on because you over torque it and you're gonna break an entire section or entire linkage and it's trash. Okay, got the other screw out. Let's get this guy aligned properly. One of those screws doesn't quite match. That's concerning. As long as it threads in all the way, I'm fine, but this head looks larger than the others. Yeah, it's fine. It clears. No problem. Yeah, bad news to the client. Oh, yeah, always. It's never fun giving bad news to clients. Some people understand, but there's so many customers out there that it's just not what they want to hear. It doesn't, there's no way to break it to them nicely. The Laowa is very service friendly. Yeah, the Laowa, the proper version, I guess we could say, we service those frequently, and those have been great. Feels perfect. Again, I say it every stream, you can't feel this, but you also can't hear it, which is the whole point. Brilliant. I also just realized that I put 35mm f 2.0, literally the letter O, not 0. There we go. Why isn't it updating? There it goes. Minor detail. Okay. Time for the gear. Gear and coffee sip. That's a Summicron R. Yes, this is a Summicron 35mm. Formerly R. We could call it now a Summicron EF. But yes, it's a Summicron R. Regarding that Click S4 with a strange back group adjustment, appears to be back focus compensation for thermal expansion. Are you talking about the rear group in an S4 with all the red paint? The screws for that? You ever see those Panavision super zooms made for the military? Yeah, I've seen that one. It's I haven't seen it in person, but I've seen it online. It's pretty cool. That one, I think, for me, kind of falls into the same category as the Leica 1200. It's just one of those unicorn lenses. What solutions do you use for cleaning lens elements? The solution I use depends on what I'm cleaning. So for example, this smudge here, it's definitely a fingerprint. We showed this earlier. Right there. You can see it, the blue reflection. It's a fingerprint, so it's oil. And I'm going to use a degreasing chemical that we use frequently, but you could use anything. You could use Windex, you could use Pancro, you could even use water. I always tell people that the technique that you're using is way more important than the chemical. Any thought for the Cine Alta Cine lenses? I saw some picture of them, but never heard too much about them. There's two versions of the Cine Alta primes. There's the original ones, which were plastic, and I don't think those are worth much. They're definitely not service friendly. A lot of the plastic is molded together, so they can't be disassembled easily. The second, later version with the aluminum housings are much more service friendly, and they're decent. They're actually not bad lenses. I don't know where I put my knife. Here's an old one. That blade is dull. Now, there's a complex system that at first appears to not do anything. It's some really tiny springs that push. Oh, okay. Is that thermal or is that a backlash compensation? I don't remember. Any thoughts on the Masterbuilt City lenses you'd care to share? That depends. Are you baiting me to say something that Masterbuilt will then use to sue me? There's not much I can say about Masterbuilt without getting served with legal papers. That's what I can say about them. And I don't feel like getting sued, so I'll leave it at that. That was one of the easiest possible elements to clean, and I mucked it up. There's a big stain I left behind. There, much better. Look at that element. Flawless now. Beautiful. No, not baiting. I didn't know they were the suing types. Well, there have been a couple companies throughout my career that that were taking certain lenses and then modifying them and claiming that they were something completely different and marking up the price a lot. I'm not saying that's what Masterbuilt's doing, because if I said that, I would probably get sued. But there have been companies that have done that in the past, so I'll leave it at that. Conrad's that's an interesting theory, Conrad. I don't know that I'd be allowed to say that because I'm a target. I love the anamorphic test video from a while back, Vase, and any plans to do more optical testing on video? Yes and no. We do want to do more content. Oh, hey, David. I think that's David. DKH Cinema. Yeah, that's you, David. Yeah, we definitely want to do more content, but as far as testing goes, I was really, really happy with the tests that we did with ShareGrid and Old Fast Glass and all those guys. It's hard to top that. It's hard to do anything better than that. But yeah, we will be sharing some more, like, let's say, subjective content. I don't want to get into the rabbit hole of this is what this lens is capable of, and you should buy this lens because this is better than that. That gets very, very dicey. That's the tricky part about that kind of content is there's no bad lens. There's different lenses for different purposes, and when you start making content when you start making content that shows the quality of a lens with opinions, you kind of, it's very difficult to make that clear. I don't like review videos where people give their opinion of the character of a lens, because it's just not, you know, as long as you take that with a grain of salt, it's fine. But like I said, there's no bad lens. There's different lenses for different projects. All right, so this is a 50 millimeter, right? Yeah, 51.4. Oh, Sumi Lux. Sumi Lux. Let's fix that. All right, so this one's in slightly less impressive state. The mount looks fine. It's got very, very minor brassing. I see a little bit of wear and tear. For example, the engravings, they're starting to lose their paint just a little bit right there. It's very hard to see because it's just black, but right there. It's just little stuff. It's just signs of wear. The rubber grip's a little sticky, but that's fine. The iris blades look good. Glass looks good. Mechanically, the focus on this one's a little heavy, but it's not bad by any means. What's your idea on the Vista P line compared to the standard series? Personally, I think the Vista P are a none of the manufacturers can seem to achieve a vintage look that appeals to everyone, which is kind of the whole point, because everyone has a different opinion and different needs. But I do think the Vista P are on the right track. I think if you're looking for something that has a little bit more character, specifically the quality and character of the bokeh, then the Vista P are great. They're not going to be a world of difference between the regular Vistas and the Vista P. Favorite Fast 50 of all time? That is a good question. Gosh, that's... I don't know that I could pick one. Sadly, it kind of depends on the camera. I mean, you can't go wrong with a 50 Summilux. In my earlier days, in my earlier photography hobby days, I was a Nikon guy, so I did love my, you know, classic nifty 50 Nikon. Actually, even prior to digital photography, my first camera was a Canon AE1 with a 51.4. It's nothing stellar about it, but that definitely has a special place in my heart. I wouldn't call it my favorite, though. When I jumped onto the Sony train, I had a Midicon, a Zhangyi Midicon 50 f/0.95, and that was a cool lens. I liked shooting with that. I don't know that I could pick one. That's like trying to pick a favorite child. Have you tried out any of the DZO-Gnosis line of macro? Yes, I have. They are fantastic. For a macro lens, as long as their size isn't an issue with your particular setup, I think they're great. The image quality is great. The close focus is great. And they're not, they don't have to be macro. They still focus to infinity, so they're very versatile. $50 Sumilux. Frank gets the $50 Sumilux vote, so that's the leading favorite. I'll be honest though, these days for photography, I shoot more on APS-C than I do full frame, in which case 50 is not my go-to, 35 is. So as far as fast primes, my go-to is on my Fuji X Pro 2 is a 35mm 0.95. What did I miss here? Oh, you're talking about the Gnosis for food and beverage stuff. Yeah, for tabletop stuff, the Gnosis are great. That's what I was saying about as long as the size isn't a problem. Because a lot of the time when you're doing tabletop stuff, food and beverage and jewelry, perfumes, a lot of the time when you're doing that macro work, if your lens is too big, it can literally get in the way of your lights and cast shadows. So it does become a concern or a consideration. This all looks very good. No excessive wear. There's a little bit of extra wear here on the anodizing, but that's not uncommon at all. Question for the chat. Where do you all stand on 28 versus 35? Frank is asking. Let's go ahead and rattle off your preference. 28 or 35? I assume you're talking about APS-C or Super 35 format. So assuming you're shooting Super 35, rattle it off. 28 or 35? No, that wear was not in the anodizing. That's just residue. B speed. Oh, good choice. I'm more of a 28 and 40 camp. Interesting. Okay. $35. Okay. So what I'm gathering is more of a narrative theme, less of a street tog theme. 28 is very popular for street stuff, for sure. more narrative approach. Separation on 35 is nice and noticeable even for 2. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if we'll do any lens hunting today. It's already almost 11 a.m. So I don't know if there's anything I'm looking for either. If anyone has suggestions for lens hunting, drop it in the chat and I'll consider it. Last weekend we did, I snagged that Mamiya soft focus. I can never remember the focal length. I want to say it's a 70. I actually thought that lens would have arrived by now. Are some Mamiya Zeiss made, or Mamiya made their own stuff? Mamiya definitely made their own stuff, but there was always, I mean, from the beginning of photographic lenses, there was always been incestuous, OEM manufacturing deals. That has always been the case. That is not anything new. Hasselblad 110 f2. That's what you want me to hunt for? You want me to buy a Hasselblad? I don't have anything to put that on. I don't know why I would buy that. Haven't seen you touch contacts. That's a good point. You know what? That's a really good point. I think we're going to do some contacts hunting and see if we can't find a bargain. I know it's not going to be affordable, but I have always wanted to own the, what is it, the contacts. Speaking of 28 millers, the contacts, I think it's the 28. Is that what it is? What's the Hollywood? I think it's the 28 f2. Canon FTs with fungus and broken iris. Yeah, hey, if I find something in that search that's, quote unquote 4 parts because the focus is jammed up or something is, non-functional, I'll grab it. I can't do much if it's missing parts. Cheap Helios. There's a Mamiya Sekor C E. I don't like the E model, 72.8. It doesn't have a leaf shutter. Oh, interesting. Is that a 645 mount? What is the E? That's not a... what is the E? I forget what the E designation is. The letters always stood for something specific. Like, for example, the CN, the N stood for new, I guess. The CS is for the shutter ones. All right, we're gonna do some contacts hunting after this lens. I'm not hopeful though, because I do think that the prices are going to be outrageous. Ooh, almost lost a screw there. That would have been terrible. That would have fallen straight into the focus movement. These are... I hate the slotted ones of these. The 35 had the nice Phillips head ones. Most of the Leica R's use this slotted style, which is... it's such a short screw. There's no reason for that to be a slotted head. Are the special edition contacts worth the squeeze? No, not at all. I mean, the 85-1.2 and the 51, those are pretty awesome, but that's because of their speed. It's not because they're special edition. I love fast lenses, so that's not gonna... I can't... I mean, I'll look at them when I hunt in a minute, but those are gonna be so ludicrously expensive. Oh, that scared me. I didn't know why the stop wasn't working, but we don't have the mount screws in yet, which is fine. I think the E stands for enhanced coating. Okay, I'll look for that. Do you think vintage will just exponentially increase with time? Or do you think the amount of good stuff... That's a really good question, Alexander. It's hard to say. Oh my gosh, I just realized my Instagram chat wasn't scrolling again. Oh, nice. You got the Safari Sumalux. I hope you're happy with it. I don't know if you're still here. Sorry, I missed that chat. There is definitely more good affordable lenses now than there ever have been. And I think that'll help a little bit, but the simple math of supply and demand dictates that vintage lenses will not go down in price. There's only going to become fewer of them, which means the supply is going to dwindle and the demand will still remain high, which just is going to drive up prices even more, or at the very least keep them high. The last screw you need to seal up drops inside. Yep, exactly. I also love fast lenses, but probably for a different reason. Come from an astrophotography background. Nice. And any silver more light. Yeah. So any sliver, sorry. I don't even want to claim that I have dabbled in astrophotography. I have dabbled in taking photos through a telescope of things that are not terrestrial. I'll say that. But I would not consider what I dabbled in, astrophotography. I had a nice telescope, and I got the, I can't even remember what it's called now, the adapter to put my camera into the eyepiece. And got some cool images of the moon, got some cool stuff with Saturn, but it wasn't good. It was just interesting. The only other, again, I don't even want to call it astrophotography. The only other cool stuff I've done that was not terrestrial, I guess you could say, I had an early prototype of the Rokinon 14mm f 1.8 SP prime, and they had basically designed that to appeal to astrophotographers because it's fast, it's wide, and it was very well corrected. And I used that for some really early stuff in their prototype phase, and I got some cool stuff. But again, it wasn't impressive. I would never share it. It was just self-testing. Do you think the Summicron lenses are better for cinematography due to chromatic aberration with Summoluxes? No, I don't. I think if you stop a Summolux down to f2, you get very similar results. Your chromatic aberration cleans up quite a bit. So personally, I would still go for the Summolux for the flexibility, being able to open up more if you want to. The only downside that comes to mind is if you do go with a Summoluxes and you stop down to f2 to make it, cleaner, you're introducing the shape of your aperture, and you don't have as nice a bokeh as you would with a Summicron that's a perfect circle when it's wide open. Rental houses aren't really dabbling in the vintage lenses. I mean, you'll get that with some of the lower, I shouldn't even say lower, like the mid-tier rental houses. They'll have stuff like R's and Zeiss contacts. Maybe they'll have, the high-end rental houses will take the vintage lenses and rehouse them. So I guess in that regard, it is going to drive up the price because they're willing to pay a lot more because they're going to rehouse it and their return will be much higher compared to, your average cinematographer that just wants a nice image. T adapter, that's it. Thank you, Lucas. Rental houses near me say they have 60s and 70s era Schneider Xenon S35 set. Yeah, that's their old like standard mount, Arri standard mount lenses. Those are fantastic optics, but unless they're rehoused, they're not going to be very practical. All T24 except 18, supposedly. What's 24? Oh, the Xenons. Yeah. So okay, so yeah, that's going to be the vintage ones. Rental houses near me big on super speeds, K35s. Yeah, that's typical. That's very common. All right, let's do the gear on this guy. Did I lose my music, or is it just super low? What's going on? I think it's just that song. I also muted it because it's got the tape gun and it's really loud. I just lost all my windows. What happened? There we go. Okay. Now I'm back. They're PS Technic rehoused. Yeah, that should be decent. You ever use the JSC Optica Super Speeds? Yes. Are you talking about the Optons? Or, Opton or Optar? I can't remember. I always get those confused. One of them was the Russian copy of the Super Speeds. The other one was the, it's still an official Zeiss lens, but it was after the Cold War, so they had to produce them under a different name than Zeiss. So I think that's Opton. Yeah, Optar. Okay, that's the... I'm not sure which ones you're talking about. There were very, very crummy copies of the Super Speeds, but then there were the other ones that were identical. They just had to engrave them differently for political reasons. More and more boutique shops doing rehousing. Yeah, that's kind of why we got out of that part of the business, because there's just so much competition now, and we wanted to focus on service and mods. pen fans. Here, not sure if you got it yet, but Mark has a Safari 28 El Merit of mine coming your way. I don't think I've seen that yet. Mark does things a little backwards from most of our customers. Generally speaking, a customer fills out the intake form, then they package up their lens, they ship it in to us, and we receive it. Mark packs up the lenses, ships it to us, and then maybe like the day before or the day it arrives, he completes the intake form and says, okay, here it is. So we almost never have advanced notice when Mark sends stuff in, which is fine. Yeah, he sends stuff in all the time, so it's totally acceptable. This element looks great. No need to do any touch-ups there. It's flawless again. Very nice. I don't know how he finds stuff that's in this good a condition. You know, most Leica Rs are pretty trashed because they get used constantly. Iron Glass announced standard speed rehousing. I did see that. I have Iron Glass has been doing some really cool, really good rehousings lately. So like their Mark, what is it, Mark II, for whatever their Iron Glass. Those are actually pretty good rehousings. Very, very good mechanical design. A-sphere or spherical for the best bokeh. I mean, technically you want a a normal non-aspheric lens, but that also depends on how the A-sphere is produced. You can still get really good results with an A-sphere if it's produced well. What screwdriver set is that? Oh, good question. Frank, hit him with a link. I bought it from him on eBay, then asked him to get a modded for. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a good route. All right, those two are done. I'm very happy with those. Let's do some lens hunting, and then I'll call it a day. Where's my... There we go. That's... I guess you guys can see that. Again, the Instagram people, I don't know if it's cropping it for everyone to be perfectly vertical. If it is, then sorry, you'll have to deal with it. If it is, then I'd say go to YouTube. Actually, don't do that. It's going to mess up our metrics. Anyway, all right, so let's get this going. We are looking for Zeiss Contax CY. Let's just go with lens. All right, these are actually not terrible prices. 8514. 3528. I like that in the box. 2528. The longer ones are always cheaper. 100 and 135. Yeah. There's a 2828. That's not bad. 200 bucks. Let's find the cheapest one. That's just a tele extender or teleconverter. That's useless. It's all teleconverters. Okay, there we go. 135, 80 to 200, 200. What is the cutting off point where you think the lenses are modern enough to where they don't need a rehousing? I don't think it's an age cutoff. I think it's a functionality cutoff. If it's a still photo lens that was not designed for cinema, it would benefit from a rehousing. If it's a cinema lens, like a super speed, it could. There's nothing it would benefit from other than slight improvements to the mechanical design. So it's less about age; it's more about functionality. Let's see. I don't really want a super telephoto because I want to be able to use it on. I want to be able to use it with an adapter on like a Sigma FP. So I'd like to find something in the somewhere between the 28 and a 85. There we go, 50 f2. That is not. Why is this so cheap? Granny's Antiques. It's been converted to E-mount. Or no, it's just got an adapter on it. They have no idea what they're selling. This might be the one. A Pro lens adapter. A $50 Pro lens adapter. That's so generous of them. Okay. This might be the one. Where is this? It's in California. That's. I'm a little concerned though, because I guess that's metal. This almost looks like a plastic front ring. Yeah, I don't know what mount this is originally. It's a little strange. Does anybody recognize this lens? Alexander, I missed your question. If not standard speeds, then ultra speeds? You mean ultra primes? I'm not sure what you mean. This says it's contact, so I see why. Huh. I'm gonna look this up in my database here. F2.0. I guess that is it. No, that doesn't come up. The F2, that shouldn't be an F2. There it is. I'm confused by this listing. I'm very tempted to get it, but I don't recall Zeiss having an F2 model in that line, in in the CY line. Maybe, can I see it on the, does the front show? Yeah, it is an F2. My concern is it's not a CY mount that I can easily convert. But it obviously has whatever that is to E mount on it already, so. Let's try it. Snag that and see what we get. Okay. Well, you guys will find out next weekend what the heck it is. Thanks, Granny's... what was it? Granny's Antiques? Yeah, Granny's Antiques. What else does Granny's Antiques sell? Oh, yeah. This is just... they have lenses. That's strange. Some enthusiast probably gave them a giant bin of... Yeah, you guys should hop on this, because I don't think they know what they have. So yeah, go find Granny's Antiques on eBay. Enjoy. Anyway, that'll do. That was some fun lens hunting. We'll see what happens. We'll see what we actually got next week. And I should have tracked, while I had you guys on here, I should have tracked the Mamiya that I bought last weekend. Let's see if I missed any other chats. No, I think we're good. Try looking up Yashica MI or ML. Okay, $30 lens. I missed that. I should have looked for it. Yeah. Yep. All right. Thanks, Frank, for being my guy in the chair. Yeah, like he said, follow us on socials. Actually, you could just drop a link for that. What's that link? Duclos.tv/... What is that? Yeah, Duclos.tv/social. Let's see if I can do it for him. Social or socials? I don't know. I put it in there. I don't know if that's right. Okay, got it right. Anyway, all right. I'm gonna call it there. Thanks for joining. I'll either see you guys tomorrow or next week.